Homage watches. What are they and should you buy them? Let's discuss and I'll review the Pagani Design Homage of the Tudor Black Bay 58 watch and compare it to an actual Black Bay 58. This is Adventures with Time. You may have seen a video I published last year where I smashed a fake Rolex watch. Well, we're not talking about fakes or counterfeits today. I'm talking about Homage watches. And I bought an inexpensive Chinese Homage of the Tudor Black Bay 58. I'll discuss why I bought it and how it compares to the Black Bay 58 I purchased over a year ago. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please take the time once you finish this video to click that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you're alerted whenever I publish a new video. And hey, do you like this channel branded shirt? I just had it made. One can always use another polo shirt. Now let's discuss homages. You can skip the unboxing and other parts of this video by using the chapters in the progress bar below. But you may want to comment on my explanation and thoughts of this homage. Counterfeit watches are actually created to be duplicates of the original watches, including the appropriate branding. Essentially, they are trying to fool people that these are the real deal. Homage watches are not intended to fool anyone. At least that should be the case. They are paying tribute to an original watch by replicating its style, its aesthetics, its look and feel. But they don't have the original branding. They are branded by the company that makes them. There are several reasons homages are created. They might be to create a new watch based on a vintage watch that is no longer made, or to make a watch with a similar look and feel to another expensive watch but at a much reduced price. Maybe someone wants to replicate the style of an existing watch with modern enhancements. Homages can come in various levels of accuracy to the original and with different levels of quality and finish and components, such as movements. It can also be very expensive. Just because a watch is a homage doesn't mean it's a cheap imitation. Among collectors and enthusiasts, there are differing thoughts as to whether homage watches should be in one's collection and why. Some believe a homage watch can be used to substitute for a watch that you really like but can't afford. Others say you should never buy a homage watch because it cheapens your collection. Where do I fall on this spectrum? I have no qualms with someone including homage in their collection for whatever reason. In fact, the second watch I purchased for my collection is a homage, the Seagull 1963, although it could be considered a reissue since it maintains the Seagull branding. But that's a different discussion. What do you think about homage watches? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I purchased the Pagani Design 2021 Homage because I thought it would be interesting to compare it to the original I have and see the quality of this homage watch. In looking through AliExpress, I noticed there are several different homages to the Black Bay 58, including one by San Martin. However, my Pagani Design watch cost me just $107 US on sale, including sales tax. I ordered off the AliExpress website and my order was confirmed by email quickly. And I was glad to see a few days later that my order was shipped. However, checking a few days later, I saw that the shipment had been canceled and replaced by another shipment which it said was also canceled. Or at least that's how it looked to me. I contacted the vendor through the AliExpress site and received this reply the next day. As best as I can make out, there have been several complaints with this Pagani watch, and they were in the process of fixing it. My order seemed to have been shipped a few days later and did arrive from China about 10 days after that. Since they processed the new shipment so soon after replying to my message, I can only assume that any fixes to the watch manufacturing were already in process, such that the vendor received new watches soon after sending me this message. Well, it finally arrived. Let's open it up. I think here is the appropriate place to cut. Nice simple box, branded Pagani Design. And as they promised, they sent me this NATO strap for free because of the delay. You can see there that it is branded Pagani. Nice little touch. Pagani branded cloth. And what else we have here? You have the instruction book, and I believe this will be the warranty card, guarantee card. and the watch. Let's take it out of here and take a quick look at what we have. So you see it's running just from a little movement that I gave it. You can see the red band here on the crown. That's so that when you unscrew it, you can tell that it's unscrewed so that you don't accidentally leave it unscrewed before you're getting it wet. Step it out one position and we can change the date. Step it out another position, wind it, or set the time I should say. And let's go around one more time. Yep, all checks out, the date changes. Push it in, watch starts, press it down and close it. Looks fairly good, no scratches. Check the bezel. We'll talk about the bezel action later. Check the back, no scratches. And the clasp seems to work okay. Well, all looks good. I'm gonna peel off the stickers and take a closer look at this and compare it to my own Tudor Black Bay 58. Hey, did you think I wasn't gonna let you watch me take off the plastic? Enjoy. One thing I noticed is that when you have the micro adjustment on the clasp, on the smallest size, there's something blocking the clasp from locking closed appropriately. I think it has something to do with that diver extension hitting this part of the clasp, preventing it from going up all the way. Let's take a look at what it looks like if I extend the micro adjustment to the next position. Now it closes easily with a nice snap. I don't know if it's just the watch I received or if this is an error on engineering of the clasp and the diver extension. So in practice, we only have 2 micro adjustment positions. I sized the bracelet to my wrist off camera to save you from watching me fumbling around. Turns out I had to remove just one link. You can see that the Pagani looks bigger than my Black Bay 58. I already have the details of my Black Bay 58, so let's take some measurements of the Pagani to see how it compares. The bezel on the Pagani overhangs the case by a small bit. That's going to be the widest point. Let's take a measurement of that. I get 41.5 millimeters compared to the 39 of my Black Bay 58. That's closer to the original Black Bay, which is 41 millimeters in diameter. Thickness comes in at 15.7 millimeters, substantially more than the 11.8 millimeters on the Black Bay 58. This is probably due to the movement, which I'll discuss later. Lug to lug comes in at 49.5 millimeters, a couple of millimeters longer than the Black Bay 58. And the Pagani has a 22 millimeter lug width compared to the 20 millimeters of the Black Bay 58. That's probably appropriate given the larger diameter of this watch case. So overall, the Pagani is a larger watch, perhaps more comparable to the original Black Bay 58. Sized for my wrist, the Pagani comes in at 180 grams, about 40 grams heavier than the Black Bay 58. Both watches have riveted style bracelets, but with screw pins for the last 4 links on each side of the bracelet. A very similar look to the bracelet, except of course for the width. The Pagani, starting out at 22 millimeters, tapers down a couple of millimeters at the clasp, and the Black Bay 58 is 2 millimeters thinner at both the lugs and the clasp. These have somewhat different clasps. Both are fold-over clasps. The Black Bay 58 up top here has an extra fold-over mechanism for security. Then there's a tab to open the actual clasp. The Pagani has double pushers and has all milled clasp parts like the Black Bay 58. Both have 3 micro adjustment positions, but as I showed before, the last hole in the Pagani is virtually unusable. The Pagani has a diver extension. It looks to be made out of pressed metal, so they've got some cost savings there. Finally, the Pagani has a lower water resistance at 100 meters versus the 200 of the Black Bay 58. Now let's compare some of the design aspects. Both have signed crowns, obviously different since they are from different brands. The Pagani design logo versus the Tudor rose. Both have sapphire domed crystals. Perhaps we can even call them box shaped. Fairly similar though. The Pagani has a display case back so you can see the Seiko NH35 movement, whereas the Black Bay 58 has a solid plain screw-down case back. I would have preferred the Black Bay 58 also have a display back to see that in-house Tudor movement, but I guess they decided against that. And as I said, the Pagani uses the Seiko NH35 movement. Not a bad movement considering the price of this watch. You know that the Tudor uses their in-house movement, which is COSC certified. Given a quick glance, these watches would appear very similar, the Pagani a bit bigger, but if they weren't side by side, you probably wouldn't realize that. You might take the Pagani for the original Black Bay rather than the Black Bay 58. The dial is where the Pagani deviates the greatest from the Black Bay. Let me show you how. The oddest thing to me, given the Pagani is supposed to be a Homage watch, is that you decided to use a black waffle texture dial rather than the matte black like the Black Bay. But remember, as I said, a Homage is not an exact replica watch. Rather, it takes its aesthetics from the original. So using a different texture is reasonable. There are slight color differences in the paint on the hands and the hour indices. But again, if they weren't side by side, you wouldn't notice that. The Pagani did copy the snowflake hour and second hands, as well as the obelisk minute hand of the Black Bay. And the information printed on the dials are different, as you would expect. The other big deviation from the Black Bay is that the Pagani uses square hour indices, similar to those used by Tudor on the Pelagos. A bit strange given that this is supposed to be a Black Bay homage. The bezels are fairly similar in style, but where the Tudor has bronze or brass color printing, the Pagani seems to use the natural color of the aluminum insert. Now, if you're a bezel fanatic, the Pagani will probably disappoint. The Tudor has a 60-click unidirectional bezel, and I thought the Pagani would have the same, but count the clicks with me as I rotate the bezel for a 10-minute interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That would give it a 90-click bezel for 60 minutes. Let me try that again, next 10 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep, it's 90 clicks all right. That's odd for a 60-minute diver bezel. I guess it's usable, but I wonder why they did that. Now, as you're turning the bezel, it takes a little adjustment to get it to sit into whatever the position is. Once you put it in there, though, it's in there without any wiggle. I don't know, you'll have to judge for yourself. This feels a little soft to me. And let's take a look at the lume. The Pagani has a different color, and the Tudor seems to be a bit brighter in my eyes. But both of them seem to be adequate. I'm not a great lume aficionado, so you'll have to make your own decision. But let's see how they look on the wrist. Even on the wrist, side by side, these watches look similar. The Pagani does have a larger and heavier appearance. The difference is most notable in the bracelets, and the Pagani does have a thicker look to it. And I noticed that from several feet away, it is hard to see that waffle pattern on the dial. I didn't buy the Pagani with an idea of having an exact copy of my Tudor Black Bay 58. I bought it just to experiment with and to experience these inexpensive homage watches from China. After all, I'm all about adventures with watches. I heard some disappointment on social media about these types of watches, both with the fulfillment process and with the quality of the watches. Some complained their movement didn't work. Some had problems with the finishing. I must say that the watch I received has no quality issues that I can see. There was a little delay in receiving the watch, but it all worked out in the end. I find the Pagani to be a reasonable homage to the Black Bay. There are a couple of questionable decisions they made, specifically the use of the waffle textured dial and those square applied indices. I don't know if these were a design decision or perhaps related to cost. The larger size of the Pagani may be due to the Seiko movement they used. You can see the specifications for this movement, and it seems like it would fit into a narrower case. So I'm not sure why they went with a larger case. What are your thoughts on homage watches, and specifically this Pagani design? Do you have any homage watches? Share with us in the comments below your thoughts. Now over here, you can click to see my video on my Black Bay 58. And over here, you can go to my video on the Seagull 1963, which is either a homage or a reissue watch. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in my next video.